Hello, world. I am Jeff, the Superfan, reporting for WBKF.TV. And today I am here with the owner of the Irish Fighting Championship. It will be the organization that will be brought under with RAGNAROK Bare Knuckle Fighting. And I have the owner here today, Robby Drought. Robby, how are you doing today, my friend?
All right, Jeff, what's the story, pal?
Hey, it's good to finally be able to connect with you today. And yeah, man, things are going well over here in Western Canada. How are things there in Ireland?
Everything is starting to kind of slowly open, I suppose, but we're still kind of, there's no indoor dinings, things like that. But it's the usual shit, really. We can't do nothing still.
Yeah, we're over here in Canada. We're just beginning to open up on the western side of Canada in British Columbia. We've just had the mask mandate lifted on July 1st. So masks are now optional on any indoor activities. A lot of the gyms here are very happy because they kept getting informed that they could open. And then they were told that everybody had to use masks while training. And there's science behind everything. And some of the science tells us that it's not healthy for us to be exerting extreme energy. So some of our gyms decided to stay closed until that mask mandate was lifted. But it sure seems like things are starting to get back happening here. Over there in Ireland, it's a little bit different, you were saying. Is there any outlook as to things easing up a bit?
Indoor dining is not allowed still. There's nothing happening there. But pubs are open and stuff like that, so people can go out and they can sit outdoors and stuff like that. But when it comes to indoor anything, nothing is open. Boxing clubs aren't open. Everything is still closed. There's nothing opening, like, basically. We're still under these fucking shitty rules, like, you know?
Yeah, I hear you there. It was extremely frustrating, and it was a bit of a relief once things lifted here. So I understand what you guys are going through over there still. So
yeah, everybody's still wearing masks here. Well, you know, people like myself who don't wear them. I don't really wear them. I'm probably one of the only people I know who doesn't wear them.
Okay.
But basically, yeah, basically everywhere you go, if you're getting a cab or a taxi, you need to wear a mask. If you're on public transport, you need to wear a mask. If you're going into, say, a pub or something like that, and you need to use the toilet, you got to put your mask on while you walk to the toilet. And then when you go back to your table, you can sit down and take your mask off, which is stupid. You know,
I agree.
Like so what? Like the virus, like is not going to attack you when you're sitting down having something to eat, but when you got to get up and walk through the bar to go to the toilet, it's going to get you then.
Yeah. It is absolutely ridiculous too when you think of it. But it's rules are rules, right? They've got their regulations. If we don't follow the rules that are in place there, then those those pubs and whatnot can get shut down. Over here in Canada, they in BC anyways, they weren't even allowing us to use restrooms. Restrooms were off limits. So if you went to a outdoor patio and you had to use the washroom, I'm not kidding you, people were going around the building and using the washroom behind like the dumpsters and whatnot. And that there becomes its own sanitary concerns, right? So
people going to toilet outside, it's horrible. Like
it kind of turns out to be 6 of one and a half a dozen of the other. And whichever way we go as citizens, we almost lose either way unless we follow their rules directly. So but like yourself, I don't wear a mask. I've got medical exemption personally, but there are still some places that were forcing me to wear a mask, and unfortunately those induced panic attacks in myself, and I had to reschedule those appointments. So, but this interview isn't about me. This interview is about you and the Irish Fighting Championship. Yeah, no, yeah. But yeah, let's hear a little bit about the Irish Fighting Championship. What can you tell me about that?
Well, okay, it's been set up. We plan on getting, well, I plan on getting on the first show. It was meant to be September, but with all these regulations and things like that, kind of pushed it back to October. Well, basically, I'm going to try to put the first show on in October, and after that, once I get the first show out, I plan to put on 3 to 4 shows a year, all throughout Ireland. Every big stadium in Ireland, we're going to pack out eventually. Once I get the first show out there, and we can show the world what we got, what kind of fighters we got, it's going to explode, and it's going to be huge, massive.
Excellent. The one thing that Ireland is definitely known for is producing some phenomenal fighters. So I'm sure that you're going to have a remarkable roster with the Irish Fighting Championship. It doesn't matter what it is, if it's boxing, Muay Thai, kickboxing, bare knuckle. The Irish are always here to fight. I believe Conor McGregor, when he was with the UFC, said, "You're not here to take part, you're here to take over." I imagine that is a fairly common theme amongst the Irish, and I don't imagine that's any different for yourself with the Irish and bare knuckle fighting.
Well, it's exactly like you said. I mean, we've got the best fighters in the world. When it comes to MMA, we got the best. We got Conor McGregor, obviously. When it comes to pro boxing, we got the likes of Katie Taylor. We got so many world champions down through the years in professional boxing. Steve Collins, Barry McGuigan, Bernard Dunn. We got so many names, so many champions for a small country. I think that when the guys get involved with the bare knuckle boxing, you're going to see some new champions, and they're all going to be Irish. So we're just looking to get the first show going in October, and then after that we're going to get as many shows as we can out. We've got a lot of great fighters. We've got amateur boxers with great boxing pedigrees. We got kickboxers, Thai boxers, MMA guys. We got everybody switching to the bare knuckle. So we'll get the first show in October, show the world what we got, show what kind of fighters we got, and the Irish will be taking over. That's 100% guaranteed.
That's beautiful to hear. You like you had mentioned with Conor McGregor. I want to challenge what you had said by having the best in the world and Conor McGregor. I personally think that Canada has the best in the world in GSP, Georges St-Pierre, right? And I'm going to tell you something right now that 3 years ago, one of my first seizures that I had some visions that happened afterwards. A lot of people say I'm crazy and that this stuff is that there's no merit to any of this stuff. And fine, people can believe what they want to believe. One of the visions that I saw was Conor McGregor and Georges St-Pierre inside of a combat surface, squaring off against one another, and they didn't have any gloves on their fists. I saw that in my mind's eye. That obviously has never happened yet. I think there is a potential for that fight to happen. And if that fight were to happen, that's going to be the biggest fight the world has ever seen amongst any combat sport. I think Conor McGregor versus Georges St-Pierre in a bare knuckle fight would be the fight that would absolutely put bare knuckle on the map 100% as a legit worldwide global sport. Do you have any thoughts towards that?
Yeah, well, I watched a couple of Georges Pierre's fights growing up, St-Pierre. I know who he is, and I know he came back out of retirement recently and beat Michael Bisping, didn't he?
He did indeed. He went up a weight class.
I know he's only got 1 or 2 losses, I think, as well as this Georges St-Pierre, from what I can remember.
That's correct.
Yeah, and they were talking about him fighting Habib as well for a while, I think. So yeah, for Conor to fight him would be probably the best ever. Like you said, like it would be a big pay-per-view seller, I'd say. Yeah, but since I'm Irish, I gotta stick with the Irish. Like,
Of
and
course.
you say that Conor will smoke him, I'd say.
Hey, well, the thing that's really good about that is you're in Ireland, I'm in Canada. I've seen this in my mind. I'm determined to be a part of trying to make that fight happen wherever it happens. And who knows, maybe somewhere down the line, yourself and myself will be talking, and we may be putting that fight together in a bare knuckle venue somewhere. You just never know. Every big fight like that has started by somebody thinking about it happening and making it happen and taking those steps towards it. So who knows? Maybe one day, yeah, Robby Drought and the Superfan will be known worldwide for putting together the world's biggest fight. You just never know.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm after reaching out to Conor McGregor. I sent him a couple of messages there as well. So if like I'm trying to get Conor involved with the Irish one if I can, you know, just to do a bit of promoting, trying to get to like anything he can do really, you know. So if he does see this, like, you know what I mean, I'm hoping that he gets in contact with me, because I've reached out to him and I've been waiting patiently for him to come get in contact with me. He's only living up the road for me, really. It's only 2 hours drive from Cork to Dublin. So if he gets in contact with me, it would do a hell of a lot for the IFC, you know, with his name, with his promoting. Like, it can actually be huge. It can be bigger than any of the BKB organizations in the world if Conor got involved, you know.
Yeah, and there is interest from Conor McGregor in bare knuckle. Like,
like I know him and David Feldman had a couple of conversations or something like that. He was, I know all that because Artem Lobov as well.
That's correct.
Yeah,
that was
Artem. Yeah.
Artem was the name I was trying to think of there. So yeah, thank you for mentioning that. That was the connector. The Feldman, Artem Lobov, Conor McGregor connection. So we know that Conor McGregor is interested in bare knuckle. Man, if you could get him involved with the IFC, that would be absolutely phenomenal. And you're absolutely correct. I'm
trying my hardest to reach out to him. I'm after getting onto a couple of people in Dublin as well to try to pass the message on, you know.
Of course.
I think personally that he hasn't heard the message because the social media in Ireland is not picking up on this. There's nothing at all. Like, there's nobody approaching me about interviews, or there's nobody, you know, like, wow. I suppose maybe I'd say it's just because it's not out there. I'm putting it out there myself on Facebook, Instagram, stuff like that, and everybody who knows me and in the kind of fighting circle would know. But as far as the media is concerned, I haven't been approached by anyone to do an interview. It's like nobody kind of knows, I suppose, really. And then when they hear of bare knuckle boxing, it's automatically got a bad name. It's just associated probably with travelers and fighting in fields and stuff like that. Whereas I'm trying to bring it to the mainstream, like the BKB have done, like the BKFC have done, and like what RAGNAROK are doing right now. So that's kind of where I want to bring it. Yeah.
Excellent. And you mentioned RAGNAROK. This is a perfect segue into that. How did you become associated with the RAGNAROK brand? Now, we know that you are a fighter that is going to be on the Vikings versus Saxons fight card on August 21st in Norway. But other than as a fighter, did that kind of introduce you to Stan and Andrew with the idea of bringing in the Irish Fighting Championship into RAGNAROK, or how did that all come about?
Well, myself and Andy Bakewell in the UK were texting each other back and forward. It started by I wanted to do a Litway fight. Have you heard of Litway?
Oh yeah, absolutely. 8 limb,
yeah,
9 limb, 9 limb, right? Yeah.
You can use your head, yeah.
Right.
So it started off like that. Andy said he could get me fights, which I liked the thought of, and it kind of went from there. So he approached me then one day about would I like to put an Irish team together. to basically be a part of the Ragnarok, like, and put the countries versus countries. They were looking for somebody to put an Irish team together. So with us talking back and forth and me being a fighter, I seemed the perfect candidate to do it. So with that, I was kind of asked, I said to Andy, I said, look, it makes a bit more sense if I have my own promotion, example, the IFC, where I can bring the fighters from, you know, because if there was nothing, there's nothing set up in Ireland at the moment. There's no bare knuckle body, or there's no bare knuckle boxing professional. So I said to Andy, I said, look, if I was to set up the IFC and then I can pick out my best fighters so that I can bring them then to represent Ireland and basically fight the Vikings, fight the Saxons, fight everybody. Because he like, first day he just wanted me to put together an Irish team. So I thought it'd be a bit hard to actually just kind of pick people off the street and say, hey, you know, do you want to be a part of the Irish team? So they helped me set up the IFC. And that's where we are now. We're going to bring the best fighters from the IFC into Ragnarok, and Ireland, the Celts are going to wipe everybody out. They're going to beat the Vikings, they're going to beat the Saxons, they're going to beat the Italians. You heard it here first. The Irish are taking over, like.
That's awesome. I know you didn't leave the Hussars out there, the Hussars out on intentionally. I imagine you plan on taking over Poland as well.
We're gonna fight like the team that I put together is going to be the best team possible from Ireland, and by me having my own shows, the IFC, 2 or 3 shows a year, we can keep on swapping and changing the fighters, you know, so we can always get the best team, like. So yeah, that's pretty much it. We're going to beat everybody. We're going to beat the Vikings. We're going to beat the Saxons. We're going to beat the Hussars. We're going to beat the South Africans. We're going to wipe them all.
That's awesome. I absolutely love the confidence, and you know what? I don't doubt you a single second. I've always been a fan of the Irish fighters, and as well as the patriotic styled themed events when it becomes nation versus nation. And I think what you're doing there with the Irish Fighting Championship, I think that is phenomenal and a very intelligent way to go about it, because in a sense, you've got the promotion, you've got the fights that are happening, and then you get to see the fighters in action for your own self on multiple occasions before you draw the ones that you want to put on the Irish team, which the Celts, if not mistaken, would be that's just my own assumption of a name that would be there. And I think I saw potentially mention of it through Ragnarok as well. But my understanding is that the name is not 100% sealed yet. There's no posters as of yet, to my understanding. So is there any other names that may even be considered? Because I know Irish history is very deep.
Well, you see, the Celts, I suppose, is just pretty much what was the first thing that was thrown out there. We were just going to say, all right, we call it the Celts. But the more research I've done about Irish warriors and Irish mythology and all this kind of stuff, like, I want something like that will bring people back to them days, I suppose, you know. There's a thing there that I might go with. It's called the Fina.
Very nice.
It's basically going back to the olden days. They used to protect the High King of Ireland. They were warriors of Ireland. So if anybody invaded Ireland, like the Vikings or anybody in their ships, these guys were there like to protect the High King, protect Ireland. So the name is not 100% yet. But the Celts seemed the more obvious, really. It's not set in stone yet, though.
Well, that's a very interesting aspect there.
I'm going back to the olden days, like when Finn McCool, this guy like went on to become the leader of the Fina. His dad was the leader of the Fina. He got killed, and when he grew up, then he became the leader. So, yeah, we can, you know, I'm doing a lot of research on Irish warriors and history and stuff like that. So I'm still kind of tweaking around with the names. So it's either going to be the Celts or the Fina, something like that. And then through Andy, then I met Stan, because they're partners. So Andy basically introduced me to Stan, and then we just kind of we've hit it off ever since, and we're just throwing ideas back and forth all the time.
Wonderful. The I'm so stoked about this whole Ragnarok organization with the themed events.
Yeah.
It's wonderful, and I think it's something that will really open up acceptance of bare knuckle worldwide. More commissions in more countries and more nations are going to see how big bare knuckle could be. It's taken off phenomenally well over here in North America. I see it in the UK, in Poland, in Sweden, in the underground. So I see in Europe that it also is huge, maybe even bigger than what it is over here in North America, and probably is bigger because I'm only seeing it with somewhat blinders on. It's only been 2 to 3 years that I've really got interested in what was at that point the underground bare knuckle scene, and now seeing it become more mainstream and accepted is phenomenal, and I'm absolutely loving this Ragnarok brand.
Yeah, right. What Ragnarok is doing, like, is it's pretty much changing the game. It's run by fighters for fighters. The shows and ideas they've got coming and planned is going to be out of this world. I mean, we're all just basically waiting just to get the first show on the way. And it's in August, and I'm delighted to be part of the team. I'm on the Vikings team as well. So we just can't wait to get it rolling, really. But I think getting back to Ireland, like when I do the Irish team, like versus the Vikings or Saxon, I think the media might pick up on that a bit more because it's international and it's country versus country. You know, I think that might be the key, I suppose, to get the media in Ireland involved, because they still haven't they've no interest really, I suppose.
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, there is the underground scene in Ireland. So they're like with the travelers and the gypsies and whatnot. So there is definitely the interest there from the fighters side of things. Now it's getting I imagine the government and the commission boards on board with it as well. So yeah, you guys you're well on your way, and what you're doing there is phenomenal. And you did just mention that you are on this card as well as a fighter. We touched on that earlier. What can you say about your training? Like you're trying to get a company started while you're training for an event. How is your training going?
Well, you see, the honest answer is it's all over the place at the moment. I'm training for a fight camp. Shows get cancelled, so we stopped training for a while because it all costs money, as you know. You got to pay for this, pay for that, you know. So it all becomes a waste of time, really, in the end. You know, you're paying out money for camps, like, and the fights aren't even coming. But on top of all that, then I work as well during the daytime, like as a bricklayer. So I have my professional job, which is a bricklayer, and I do the fighting thing as well myself. So it's just a case of juggling it all around. But everybody is helping me out. Everybody is on board. Everybody seems interested in Ireland to get it up and running. I've been getting nothing but good feedback. Everybody is excited to see how it plans out, really. And because Ireland is huge for fighting, as you know, we've got Muay Thai, we've got kickboxing, we've got everything. Like the only thing we haven't got really is bare knuckle boxing, and it was there for the taking. Like anybody else could have done it. But I think that when I got interested in bare knuckle myself 2 years ago, that was pretty much the start of it. And I never imagined myself like if you asked me 2 years ago, like I never thought of setting it up in Ireland. It just kind of happened. But I'm glad to be the one doing it, and I'm glad to be a part of it. And like I said, fighting is in my blood. I've been boxing since I'm 6 years old. So, you know, nobody wants to retire. I'm getting older, like, but I don't want to retire yet. But like the way I see it, like, is that I've already got my job lined up for the next 20 or 30 years as being a promoter.
Right.
So I'm going to fight as much as I can, really. And that shows the Irish people as well, you know, like that, they might say, well, Rob is doing it himself as well, you know what I mean? So we'll follow Rob because Rob is a fighter. He'll look after us. He'll get us proper fights. He'll make sure that everything is right, because I know what it takes. I know all the sacrifices you make being away from your kids, being away from your family. You know, I know all these things, cutting weight for fights. I mean, people don't see that. Like, all they see is win or lose on the night. They don't see the pain, the blood, sweat, and tears you put into it. Whereas I do, I know the story, and by me leading by example, I think that the next band of Irish warriors that come up behind me, like, will be fucking out of this world. You know what's coming, like, you know, like, I mean, like I said, touching back with Conor, like, Conor went on to do spectacular things. So I'm basically looking for somebody like that, you know what I mean? I just want to put the BKB in Ireland on the map. I want to show the world what we got, because we already got great fighters as it is, and these guys just need a chance. So I'm going to give it to them.
Beautiful. Yeah, you said it, man. And I absolutely love that this is transpiring how it is. I love the fact that you are the one that is involved with this because of your passion for combat sports, as well as your passion for bare knuckle as well, like through Lethaway, as well as bare knuckle. And to have you as one of the people that is bringing this to Ireland for the Irish fighters, for the Irish fans. I don't think that there could be a better person behind the wheel, man. You're definitely off to a good start, and you're doing a phenomenal job. And I think once the product starts coming out and the world gets to see it, they're going to see the vision that you have, as well as what I am taking from the vision that you have. And I think the world is going to be on notice and absolutely trying their hardest to get on board with this bare knuckle scene that is absolutely exploding.
Like you mentioned a while ago that you had visions as well and stuff like that of Conor versus Georges St-Pierre. Like when I lay down every single night going to bed, all I'm thinking about is bare knuckle boxing. I'm only thinking about it all. I'm thinking about my own career fighting. I'm thinking about setting it up in Ireland, you know. I love it. I love fighting. It's in my blood. I've been doing it since I'm 6 years old. I think you can tell by the passion in my voice, you know what I mean, that I can lead the way, like, you know. But yeah, basically that's pretty much it. We're just trying to get it away from that what sounds bad, I suppose, as in, you know, like travelers fighting, things like that, like, you know, and basically bring it to the mainstream. And I mean, like, bare knuckle combat is taking over. It's the fastest growing sport in the world. I mean, you know, and people love it. Like, when people go to watch these events, like, they don't want to see guys, like, I've no problem with MMA, none whatsoever. But I'm saying sometimes, like, people don't like when they're on the floor, you know, the jiu-jitsu parts of it, or rolling around and things like that. Like, people want to see, like, you know, blood, guts, people fucking get knocked out. That's what people want to see when they go to a fight. And bare knuckle boxing has got all that. The fights are fast, exciting, fast paced. You know, it could be over in a second with a cut. I mean, there's no boring fight, and every fight is entertaining. And that's what the crowd want to see. They want to work, pay their money, buy their tickets, go out, have a good night, basically watch great fights. And, you know, basically, because some people complain about MMA, they say, you know, they'll be rolling around on the floor. We don't want to see that, you know, we just want to see action. We want to see fighting, you know. So that's what I want to bring to the people of Ireland.
Beautiful. And that exactly is what you said. That's what bare knuckle is all about. It's that fast-paced action, the shorter rounds. I believe they're going to be 2-minute rounds with RAGNAROK anyways. And I believe that it may be 3 round fights. So you're going to be limited to the amount of time that you have. So that forces the action to happen. And as bare knuckle is as it is, the action is there. So to take the action that is there, to abide by the governing bodies that are in place and being put in place, the rules have to be abided by, and I think it plays in the favor of bare knuckle to have the shorter amount of rounds, as well as the shorter round period times, because it forces that action and it just brings out that excitement and explosiveness.
But it's also safer. It's
Yes.
also safer than professional boxing. And what I mean by that is because professional boxing goes on for 12 rounds, 3-minute rounds. And I mean, they basically have got what would they have on 10-ounce gloves, 12-ounce gloves, depending on the weight, whatever. Some of them are 8-ounce gloves. So
yeah,
with fighters constantly taking blows to the head for, I mean, 36 minutes, you know, it's doing a lot of damage to the inside of the head. Whereas when it comes to bare knuckle boxing, because you can't hit well, I suppose people say you can't hit as hard as you want because it's bare fist. Even though I hit as hard as I can, like. But basically, it's safer, right? The rounds are shorter, 3 2-minute rounds. If you're fighting for a belt, it's probably going to be 5 2-minute rounds. So because it's like you said, the rounds are so short, it pushes on the excitement straight away, and it pushes on there's no messing around, there's no feeling out. You haven't got time to do that. But like I said, like bare knuckle boxing is just superficial. And what that means, like, is basically you just get cuts. You'll have cuts, cut everywhere, but it's not doing damage to the inside of your brain like gloved boxing would do. You know, taking punches continuously over and over and over to the head. You know, that's what the gloves were designed for, like for the rounds to last longer, and for the promoters, like, to make more money because the fights last longer and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. The science is there now. There are scientific reports that have been done on bare knuckle boxing in comparison with glove boxing, and the science is there that shows that with what they've used so far for data, it's much safer, and exactly for the reasons that you said there too. I
love professional boxing. I'm not taking anything away from it. I love all forms of boxing. I love amateur boxing. I love professional boxing. But what I think Ireland was missing was bare knuckle boxing. So I kind of just slipped in there nicely, really, to be honest. And with Stan's help and with Andy's help, the Celts, I suppose we call it the Celts for now.
Sure.
They're basically going to wipe everybody out. And I can say that with huge confidence because, like, the team that I've got behind me so far of fighters, I mean, there's guys contacting me every single day. They've got all these championships behind them, and all amateur boxing or things like that, like, you know. So and Ireland has got a pretty good track record in the Olympics as well for amateur boxing. So there's nothing really between amateur and professional, but now there is, I suppose. Yeah, so we're just excited to get the ball rolling, get the first show out there, and show the world what the Irish can do.
Absolutely. And speaking on that, do you have any words for your opponent at the Vikings versus Saxons? You're going to be squaring off against Sean McFarlane, another very scrappy gentleman who loves to fight. This is going to be a barn burner, folks. This is going to be one hell of a fight. Absolutely. And do you have any words for your opponent, Sean McFarlane?
No, well, like everybody says the same thing. Like, I mean, there's no point in bad-mouthing anyone. It's not my nature, number one. I don't go around fucking talking about anyone, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, the two of us want to win. The two of us are fighters. He's doing it all his life. I'm doing it all my life. There's no point in talking shit, really. Let's be honest about it. We're just going to win, beat the hell out of each other. The best man is going to win. I know that he's a legend in the VKB world. He's been around a long time. He's fought the best. So I've got absolutely nothing but respect for him, and I can't say anything bad about him, really. When that bell goes, though, it's going to be a different story. It's just going to be, you're going to see, like, what the Irish can do. And it's going to be in Norway, so it's going to be a huge show, huge fight. And I'm going to bring the best game that I got, just like Sean will. But at the end of the day, best man will win.
Beautiful. And you absolutely just proved a point that I've been trying to make over and over again, that bare knuckle boxing and bare knuckle fighting is a sport that is filled with respect. These men and women that put it on the line for us fans to enjoy, at the end of the fight, a majority of these fights end with the two gentlemen or the two ladies hugging each other, going and sitting backstage after the fight and getting to know one another. It's a sport that absolutely is built on respect, is full of respect. And there's going to be individuals that are not that way, but the majority are. And man, once these commissioners get to see what is bare knuckle is really all about, yeah, worldwide, my friend, bare knuckle fighting, bare knuckle boxing is going to absolutely explode. And I'm glad that you, Robby Drought, with Irish Fighting Championship, and I'm with the RAGNAROK brand, are going to be a huge part of that explosion, my friend.
Yeah, I'm absolutely delighted to be a part of it. Like I said, I'm after meeting Stan and Andy. I consider these guys friends for life.
Yeah.
They'd do anything for anybody, you know. I mean, I was just talking to Stan last night, like, and the stuff he's been telling me, like, that when the fighters arrive in Norway, what they've got planned. I can't go into details, like, well, what they've got planned. They're going to be living like the superstar life. I mean, they're going to be picked up. They're going to be flights paid for, hotels are paid for. They're getting paid for fighting. There's absolutely nothing really. Like, all we got to do is just go and fight. Yeah. I mean, everything is paid for. Everything is, like, you know, we don't got to worry about nothing like that. Just go and fight. So yeah, and then we'll do a return leg in Ireland. Again, it all comes down to restrictions. It comes down to having crowds and stuff like that. So for the first leg, we've opted to go to Norway, and this is the Celts versus the Vikings. Now I kind of have to drift into a different story now. So yeah, so like the Celts and Vikings is going to be planned for December in Norway. So we've got a lot of stuff coming up. Like, first we've got August, we've got the Vikings versus the Saxons, where I'm on the Vikings team.
Correct.
Then they're going to Poland in October, the Vikings against the Hussars. And then, so every 2 months there's a show being put on, like, through RAGNAROK, and we are in December. Then the Celts then are going to Norway in probably the 4th of December, something thereabouts. It's not official yet, but we've just been talking, and there the dates we're kind of throwing around. So there's a lot of going on, and like I said, so I'm trying to do my own show then as well in October, the IFC show. So there's like huge things happening in Ireland with the BKB. So yeah, we're just dying to get the ball rolling.
It's coming. It's coming.
Listen, I can talk, like, people. It's easy for people to talk shit about other fighters and disrespect other fighters. But, you know, there's no point. Like, I mean, like, at the end of the day, like, you know, this man, like, works himself. Like, he's got a job, he's got a family. He just wants to win the fight. Same as myself, you know what I mean? I don't wish any badness upon him. I don't want him to get seriously hurt, just like he doesn't want me to get seriously hurt, you know? It's a sport at the end of the day. He wants to win, I want to win. So I can never hate him for wanting to do what I want to do. So we're basically just going to get in, get it on. When the fight's over, we'll probably have a couple of beers afterwards, have a good old talk, and that's just the way it is. That
is just the way that it is. And
we just move on to the next fight after that, you know what I mean? There's no bad blood, there's nothing like that. Sean will move on to his fights, I'll move on to my fights, you know. We might even meet again, who knows if the fight is close. You know, but all I can say really is it's going to be an explosive fight. It's going to probably be, it's a contender for fight of the night, if you ask me.
I agree.
Yeah, and the crowd is going to, like, because it's going to be the first in RAGNAROK, or the first RAGNAROK show in Norway, the fans, I don't even think they're not even ready for this, I don't think. I mean, like, there's going to be blood, there's going to be knockouts, there's going to be cuts, there's going to be any combat fan, like, who loves standing up toe to toe, like, is going to be watching this, like, and our fight is going to be like that. It's going to be back and forward, toe to toe, maybe a couple of knockdowns, who knows what's going to happen, but it's going to be explosive.
Man, I am so amped up for this. Every time that I talk with one of you fighters,
I can get anyone going. Like, I'm so passionate about this. Like, I can talk by it, and I can raise my voice by it, and I can make you see things like the way I see things.
Well, that's exactly it. I see the vision that you have for the company, both with the IFC as well as with RAGNAROK, and that's why I'm so stoked and so excited for it. Both for you as a fighter as well.
Yeah, there's no AFC without RAGNAROK. I gotta say that. Like, RAGNAROK, like, is, you know, like, we owe all this to RAGNAROK. Like, we owe everything that's going to happen in Ireland to Stanley, and we owe it to Andy in the UK, you know. So these guys have helped me do this, So you know what I mean, and then the support I'm getting from Ireland then as well, just other guys, boxing clubs, Thai boxing clubs, everybody's kind of involved. Like there has been no one really who's put an obstacle in my way and said, "Hey, you can't do that." There's been nothing like that, you know.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's going to be huge, Jeff. Just watch and see. Just watch and see. Like as soon as we get the first show out there, the whole world is going to be talking about the Irish BKB. As soon as I fight in Norway in August, they're all going to be talking about that. Like, you know what I mean? And then when we bring the Celts to go to the Vikings in Norway, we're going to have a huge following. We're going to have a huge. It's going to be a battle, and the Celts are going to be victorious.
That's awesome. Before we sign out here, Robby, do you have any sponsors as a fighter that you? I know we can't really mention any RAGNAROK brand sponsors as of yet, but do you, as a fighter, have any sponsors that you would like to throw any shout outs to that are supporting you in your bid for this RAGNAROK fight against Sean McFarlane?
Yeah, totally. Like for my first BKB fight, I had to raise money to buy tickets, and it was very hard because I'm living in a different country, so I wasn't able to get fighters to go to a different country. So, but I still needed to sell tickets to fight on the show. So I gained sponsors in Ireland. I work in construction myself, so I was able to get a couple of construction people behind me. So we're going to start with Noel Noonan Steel Fabrications will be one. Chris Harrington building masonry contractor will be number 2. The Red Penguin is an events catering service in Ireland set up to cater for any event that you want to put on, whether it be a Patrick's Day parade, whether it be anything at all. These are the guys to go see Red Penguin. Their motto is in any event called Red Penguin. There's been a couple then of petrol stations who sponsored me. Tim O'Donoghue is the guy's name. Tim has been behind me all the way from day one. So yeah, there's loads. Elite Masonry in Ireland. There's so many people like who've helped me like and sponsored me and got me to where I am today. Because if I couldn't get them tickets paid for example, with my first BKB fight, none of this would be happening.
Correct.
I wouldn't have been able to fight on the show. I wouldn't have made all the contacts. I wouldn't have been able to meet all the fighters. Fans wouldn't know who I am. So I had a great start to setting up the IFC because I was already fighting myself.
Exactly.
So a big shout out to all my sponsors. They helped me get where I am today, and they're still on board now as well to sponsor the IFC show. So yeah,
that's phenomenal, and that for fans and business owners out there that are watching this right now, what Robby just said there is paramount in a fighter's career. Sponsorships, anything that you can do to help a fighter out through their fight camps, preparing for their battles at hand, any help that is offered is always greatly appreciated by the fighters. If there are people out there that are not knowing how to get involved with sponsoring fighters, give me a jingle dangle. I will talk with you. I will point you in the right direction. Whatever nation you live in, I have fighters that I am in contact with that I could put you in contact with. It helps to get your brand out there as a business owner, and as well, you're helping out these guys that are as passionate as Robby here, man. They put their blood, sweat, tears on the line every single moment of every single day because the passion that is within them to fight is there. And if you can help support that, you not only help support them, you help the sport to grow, and it's a beautiful thing all around the whole world, man. So if you're out there and you're interested in sponsoring, give one of us a call. We'll point you in the right direction. Call your local gyms. You can talk with them. Just get involved in whatever way you can. It's phenomenal. Bare Knuckle has taken off. And like Robby said, man, the Irish are going to be taking over the world. And all of us out here are going to have to just try to stop them. So on behalf of Robby Drought with Irish Fighting Championship, as well as with RAGNAROK Bare Knuckle Fighting, he is Robby Drought, and I am Jeff the Superfan, and we are signing out from WBKF.TV. Stay
See you later,
tuned.
folks.